regular meeting of the Amherst Board of Education in order, please. Not yet. Each meeting of the Amherst Board of Education is held in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. This is a time for there is a time for public participation during the meeting as indicated on the agenda. Roll call, please. Roll call.
Okay. Mr. Yacobozi?
Here.
Mr. Sappa?
Here.
Mr. Engel?
Here.
Mrs. Gillis? Here. Mr. Camden.
Here. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Entertain a recommendation to adopt the agenda as presented, including any and all addendums. So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Bob. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Engel?
Aye.
Mr. Camden. Mrs. Gillis? Mr. Sappa? Mr. Yacobozi?
Aye. Good news report, so I think it's good news.
It is for us.
Okay.
Yes,
Steve, go ahead.
thank you very much, Ron. And certainly is a pleasure to be able to welcome GPD Group here this evening to our board meeting. They have been selected as the architectural firm who will be assisting us with the design of the new pre-K through 3 Powers Elementary School. And Teresa and Ron were very involved in that selection process, as well as representatives from the Ohio School Facilities Commission. And again, congratulations to GPD and welcome. And I think what I'd like to do, Mark Salopek is here. I think Mark's going to handle some of the other introductions and maybe talk a little bit about the upcoming project.
Yeah, I'm Mark Salopek. I'm a principal architect with the GPD Group. We're excited about this opportunity. We're going to be seeing the three of us till end of July of 2019, probably further on after that. We're excited to just talk to us, and we're excited about getting started. You're going to see us a lot out there. Teachers are going to get to meet us real soon. The community's going to meet us, and we're anxious to get started. Accompanying me is Aaron Rodebaugh. Aaron's our project manager, so he's our day-to-day guy. And Rob McCain. Rob was a senior project manager, but this project, Rob was our creative guy. He's going to serve as our design director. And he will be your answer man to make sure that this is a nice looking project that meets all your educational opportunities going forward in the future. We're here tonight to answer any questions that you might have of us, but you're going to be seeing us live.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Do you really own an island, or you're trying to buy one?
That's what we're going to put out front there. He also thinks I drive a Lamborghini.
We believe everything he says, by the way. We believe everything he says.
Well, I'm just wondering.
Well, and I will say too, we actually had our first meeting last Thursday afternoon, I think it was, and talked a lot about, which I will share a little bit as part of my report later on. But we talked a lot about the community engagement process, the staff involvement, and those meetings will begin either later this month or first part of April. So, things are moving along and moving forward, and just a great meeting last Thursday, and certainly looking forward to the next few years.
And
It was fun.
those community meetings are going to fall under your responsibility. So you're in for a treat with this guy, believe me.
I'm talking to Dennis.
But again, Aaron's going to be on site day to day, working with everybody.
Aaron's our day-to-day all the way. And the one thing that we stress with you guys is these are the three faces you're going to be seeing all the time. We're not going away. We don't switch people out. We're here until the day you move in July of 19. We want to make sure this goes great. I'll be very honest with you. We had a pre-interview, about a month ago, 4 weeks.
About a month, yeah.
It was a very snowy day.
Yes.
Drove in. Everybody's a little late. Tell you what, we had a great conversation with you. We felt very comfortable around you. And that's what it's like. When you're going to work with somebody for 2.5, 3 years, it's nice to work with somebody that you like. And we really hit it off with you, and we think this is going to be great.
To reinforce that, I can tell you the decision was tough. We had some very great architects who applied to do this project. But even though the decision was extremely difficult, it ended up being really fairly simple, but these guys really stood out in their presentation, how they approached things. They came out with some really unique ideas, some things that we hadn't even thought about yet, and I think it's going to be a real experience working with these guys, and likewise, it'll be a real experience for you guys working with these guys. So, but it'll be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to it. But again, you talk about getting that warm, fuzzy feeling. We got it with these guys at this meeting. So we're very pleased.
And for us, communication is key. We're welcome to come and meet with you anytime that you want. Just ask us to be at a board meeting, and the three of us will be right there.
And we are a team, so.
Can we go to the islands and
No,
Can we go to your islands and have a meeting?
Any other questions for these guys? Thanks not. We're going to move on. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity.
Appreciate it.
We're
I
excited.
emailed you guys some dates today.
Yes.
So.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
See you in a week or so, right?
Yep.
Mr. May.
More good news. More good news.
I'm going to take over the solid.
Oh, boy.
I'm sorry.
Drew, want to read down that password?
Changes every time. All right, everyone seated in front of me now, you have this in your email. If you'd like to open it up, you don't have to turn around or look at look at the screen. It's up to you. Then put this up on the screens for everyone else. Here today with the good news report. It's something that actually everybody that's in there right now has had input on it. And that's what's really neat about this, is because what I'm going to talk about has affected all kids at the high school. Over the last 3 years, we have 10 electives that are all new. And I always go back to that it starts with a schedule change. If you look at first year in 2013-14, we evaluated the schedule. We were on a 4x4 block, and there were essentially 8 periods a day. That has now changed, as you know. We have 7 periods. Some of them count as double periods. So the way scheduling is done here, I've actually had several different high schools in the area reach out to me who are attempting to figure out how they can work a schedule just like ours. So that's pretty neat that we're ahead of the curve and doing things that are different. So with that being said, we enacted a new schedule, and as of right now, we're up to 10 new electives. You could say 9. We brought back criminal justice, which is really neat because every kid can take that. That's 10 courses. And when you think about this, everything that you're going to see here today that was added, no staff was added. So that's being good stewards of the taxpayers' money as well. So those are the new courses. If you look down at the College Credit Plus, that's been in existence for 2 years. What's going on here is really amazing. We've added 6 CCP courses in 2 years, and I have them listed. And then you get into the data, and a very wise superintendent that I still learn from every day said that the data is unemotional and it proves things. So if you look at 2014 and 15 and 15-16 data, the data provided by LCCC shows that Amherst saves families the most money through the College Credit Plus program. #1 in the county. Right now, we're offering 15 College Credit Plus courses in this building, right now. Now, that comes with having a very highly educated and talented staff, but also the ability to schedule all of that built in and to be able to be flexible. So if you look at what's forthcoming for next year, we're adding 2 more CCP courses. We're adding the United States History 1 and the United States History 2. So we're going to be up there at 18 courses. And the reason I say 18 is I have a list for you at the end, and several of them that are in there are for the Med Tech program. So those are program specific. You have to get into the Med Tech program in order to take those. And then if you, also here to say thank you. All of you were a part of factoring into the decision making that goes into this creative learning center that we're in. And your togetherness and that you're always on the same page, it's really positive for us. It allows us as administrators to be administrative leaders in so many different ways, and it allows teachers to be empowered. And that's what you're seeing here every day. And I tweet as much as I can and get things out there about what's going on in here so that everyone can see it. And the most retweeted member of the board who retweets the CLC tweets is so, with that being said, thank you of all of that, but it's great because it's getting it out there. I mean, I'm at 1,500 followers. I'm not up there with Mr. Sayers yet in his totals, but it has a lot of people coming in and checking it out. I mean, I've provided some tours myself. Mr. Molnar has been giving tours left and right of different districts. I have people asking just about everything is specific of the floor, the carpet tiles, to the Wi-Fi, to the vision, where it came from, with the support. And I always tell them that it starts with the support. So here to say thank you. This place is packed throughout the day. There'll be 150, 175 kids in here, and they're just rolling. And it's really great to see that. So this is just a great piece of technology that's being used. It's a great space, and we'll continue to build on it. Finishing up here, 2017-18 for next year, these are all the courses that are going to be in our high school. And like I said, we've all had a say in this. We've all worked in some way, shape, or fashion to make that happen. And that's what's really neat about this, because it's all a benefit for the kids, and it's all a benefit for their families. So we're adding classes all over the place. Every kid can be affected by everything I've talked about today. Those 10 classes at the beginning, the Creative Learning Center, and the CCP. So all in total, summarizing, we're going to be offering 18 classes, 15 credits, all academic classes here in this high school next year. Pretty neat stuff. There's a lot of schools reaching out, asking me as well, specifically in the conference at our monthly SWC principals meeting about College Prep Plus. It's nice to be seen at the forefront of an educational aspect. So we're very proud of that, and we're going to continue to work hard and do our best every day, and hopefully we can keep growing. So with that, thank you all. I promised to be under 10 minutes, and I believe I was. Thank you.
Any questions for Mike?
No, I just think you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
I will give back the reins of the team.
Okay. Hearing of the public, no one has signed in, so I'm assuming nobody wants to address the board. If you would say something, you cannot do with it, so I'm not going to bother you. Okay. Treasurer's report.
Just a few things to update the board on. Our financial software, as you know, in my board update to you, I shared that I did not have financials to present to you this month. We went through the year-long implementing. We set up our district, and we implemented and went live in January with our payroll, and we went live in our financials. And we were going to come back in February and be trained on the closing. The implementer got the flu along with 90% of the population, it seems like. But we haven't got there just yet, so I will have them to you January, February, hopefully at the March board meeting. It's been moving along great. Everybody seems to be adapting to the new software quite well, other than forgetting their passwords, but we're working on that. And just setting something up where we can reset those. So I don't think there's a problem there. We've been very busy in the treasurer's office. We've had a lot of things going on, as you can see with the items that's on the agenda to be approved. The superintendent and treasurer's been very busy, and the board, I will say, and the board. Under the treasurer's recommendations, I will ask you to approve the board minutes from January 9th, 17, the organizational, and the 9th, the regular meeting, and the February 1st special board meeting. We have 3 that we can approve. Of course, we have donations. One thing that I want to point out to you, we have the project agreement for the Ohio Facilities Project, and we had to wait to bring it to, even though the bond passed in November, we had to wait and bring it to the board because we had to obtain the local share of the state project. it's kind of confusing because you have your state, your local, and then we have our LFIs, which are what we are doing in-house. So the local share, we had to get that money before we could bring the project agreement to the board to sign. Issuing our first set of notes in December that we issued, and our second set of notes that we just closed this month in January, helped us fulfill that requirement. So we've got that requirement, so we've got that on the agenda for you to approve tonight, and we'll get that sent off to OFCC. We also have the Clover TIF resolution to ask the board to approve tonight. And as you know, the board knows that the City of Lorraine and the Board of Education have been working on an agreement for a TIF and it's for an apartment complex at Enclave Place off Cooper Trails. And this will provide the district $1 million over the 25 years that the board and the city agreed to. And this is a property would build 125 senior citizen apartments. And we're welcoming these people as it's for the senior citizens, and it'll help the area. So we're pleased about that. And we also have
Can I just interject?
Sure.
Really quick, I'm sorry.
Nope, I was
The
gonna
nice
go
thing
over
about
on-
this arrangement, this agreement, with Lorraine City is the fact that through this agreement, it's going to help us to the tune, as Barb said, of $1.5 million over the next 25 years. And we will not incur additional students through this, through this arrangement, because obviously it's a senior housing community. So I think that's an important thing to mention here is that we're benefiting from additional revenue, but at the same time not incurring the costs of additional students. So that's certainly a win-win partnership. And I wanted to thank Barb for her work in putting this together, because there were a lot of things I know that had to be done.
And I was going to go through them, Steve, and share, because I know Steve can offer some things on that. We also have the resolution that the Amherst, City of Amherst and the Board of Education has worked on for the storm water mitigation. The city had applied, let me see if I can remember exactly. They applied to the Ohio Department of Transportation for a grant through Ohio Turnpike mitigation. And in doing so, they wanted to use their application said that they would like to use the property at Shoup to help. If I'm not mistaken, what they made application for had to be so many miles away from the turnpike, and this seemed to be about the perfect place. So they came to us and had the conversation with us, and we came to an easement agreement with them on that. And actually, City Council is approving theirs tonight as we speak, and hopefully the board will approve ours tonight. And this will help with some of the runoff water that we get from the turnpike. Then we also have the bond resolution. When it says issue bonds, and you see it says $9,050,000, but we also, if you remember, if you go back, we did the 17.5, and then we did for the total, and then we did the $8,450,000 in our first, and now we're doing the balance of that. So in this bond resolution, and I'll explain a little bit about this, this is to issue the sale of bonds, and we'll have 2 sale of bond issues. And the steps that go into this selling of the bonds, and this is something that we all need to know and be aware of, and the ones that has been part of the meetings do know this. But every time you issue a note or sell a bond, you have to have what they call a bond rating. And Amherst Schools does not have any outstanding bonds, because the last refunding that we did, we then turned around and did it with a direct placement. So there is no bonds hanging out there, and so we currently do not have a bond rating. But since we're going shortly for our sale of bonds, we have from previous AA2 that was sitting at the bond rating company. AA2 is an excellent rating, and you want to hold that rating or go up. And that's what you try to do when you give a bond rating presentation. your goal is to share with the bond rating companies everything good about Amherst community and the school district. And we have a lot of good things going on here. They have a regular score sheet that they do. He's trying to that. A regular score sheet that they grade you on, and it's standard, and like your financials, it kind of speaks for yourself when you have dollars sitting and how you handle your money. You balance your budget every year, and they grade you on that. They have different score sheet they go down through. But then there are a lot of subjective areas. They look at the unemployment, they look at different things in the county, are there job losses, is there companies closing down? So it's up to Amherst Board of Education to present to the bond rating company everything we know about Amherst community and our school district. And we do here at Amherst have a lot going on, and we can sell every bit of it. We're very proud of everything here. And just as Mike May spoke about the classes, that's excellent for what we have to offer and what we can do every year for our kids. And sitting in this room tells a lot too. We're proud of this room. So in doing a bond rating presentation, you can do it over the phone, you can do it by Skype, or you can do it in person. And we work with a municipal advisor, and we have a bond underwriter when you go to sell bonds. And their expertise, which they've been in a long time, they would encourage us as the Board of Education, the designees, to go in person, because there's a lot of things that your nonverbals, just face-to-face, people can get lost in a conversation when they aren't right in front of you, but they feel in their experience it would be best to go to this rating presentation in person. So this hasn't been totally set or figured out yet, but in the bond resolution tonight, Mr. Yacobosi, since you're the board president, I would encourage you to abstain from this resolution, just simply because I'm assuming that the Board of Education would want the board president to be part of this rating, and any expenses that we pay on that. It of course, as in the eyes of the auditor or the federal government or whoever audits the municipal advisor even would say, you should vote if you're taking advantage of this. So I would think the board would want you to abstain, because if we make this trip, come back to the board at a later date and share the expenses for this, I'm assuming, but looking into this and examining it, would be $3,000 or less for all, Mr. Sayers, myself, Mr. Yacobosi, and our municipal advisor to go on this trip. And it would be there, do the bond rating presentation and back. So I wanted to make sure that all the board knew that this was on the table. And before I ask for a vote, Mr. Sayers, would you like to share anything about the TIFs or the stormwater mitigation?
No, you pretty much covered it.
Okay. So I would ask the board, we'll go down through and,
I'm going to split these up a little bit.
yes,
Okay?
yes.
Let's take a motion for items A, B, D, E, F, G, and H.
So moved.
A, B, D, E, F, G, and H.
I would like A to be by itself, please.
Okay, so we'll go back. Entertain a motion for A, B, D, E, F, G, and H.
So moved.
Piece of motion, is there a second? Mark, discussion?
I just have a
Go ahead.
comment. I just wanted, I don't think she mentioned it, so I just want to mention it, that the Amherst Board of Education acknowledges the receipt of $5,000. That the Med Tech program, the Steele News Live TV program, have won a video contest, which I think is really cool. The video on domestic violence won first place in the contest held by the Family Violence Prevention and Services program through the Department of Health and Human Services. So just want to say congratulations.
Yes, yes.
Sorry, good stuff.
So what are we voting on now, please?
A, B, D, E, F, and G, and H.
Okay, I would like to comment on H.
Go ahead.
Before we do that. In knowing that we've been working on this resolution for over a year with the city, my question now is, what is the time frame that they plan to execute this retention pond, which is what I think that we're still doing, correct? Knowing now differently than we did a year ago when we started talking about that, the plot of that land is going to change in look a lot within the next year and a half. So I want to make sure that we're not going to devalue the land once the building is removed by where we originally had thought about this retention pond going. So I would hope that before they start to do what they're going to do, we've taken a look at it entirety to make sure that we're putting it at the best strategic location for the land use, if we would ever want to use that land or sell that land to a developer who may look at that land. So I know at one time we had it going to one of the corners because of the way where the building was sitting. Is that still the best location?
That's my understanding. As far as the time frame, I think, I don't know if Sarah Moore had mentioned to you prior to the time frame involved, but my understanding was that the location has not changed in the last year, and that if anything, it would hopefully improve the value of that piece of property, and obviously that would be an ideal thing. But as far as the time frame, I don't.
So it's the northeast corner, correct?
Yes.
I forgot whether it was
Yes.
east
It's
or
north,
south.
I think it's the
couldn't remember.
northeast corner,
Yeah.
right behind the home.
Just
Right.
south of that ditch that's already there.
Okay.
Correct.
Yep.
And there, and between where Shoot now sits in that area going east.
That's what I thought.
Right. Which any development going there would be able to use that retention pond for.
Right.
I think that was the
That's what I
idea
wanted to
of
make sure that
perhaps
we had
making
not-
it even more attractive.
Also,
in the future.
and looking at H bar, you have, it says storm and sanitary easement and storm easement. There's two easements. What's going on there?
That was the way the resolution was written up.
I wasn't aware of the sanitary easement. I thought it was storm.
Yeah, I thought it
easement.
was just a storm easement as well.
That was the way the resolution was written up, but I don't
I
recall
thought it was
any
supposed to be for
specifics.
storm.
Well, do we want to make
stormwater
sure before we
over-
say that?
Pardon?
Do we want to make sure that that's correct?
Well, we need to clarify that there was no sanitary ever discussed in this issue. It was all
No.
storm.
It was all storm retention.
Yes.
I think
But I'm
it's- I
saying
think
if it
it's-
says sanitary.
We
we
should
might not-
scratch sanitary out of that motion. We never talked about sanitary.
Okay.
There's no sanitary there, anyway. Sanitary is all going to be toward, well, it'll be over toward Shoot, going over toward, what do you call it, Leary Avenue.
So that would read just with the city of Amherst, Ohio regarding storm easement.
Storm easement,
Yeah, so that whole thing's taken out.
So we're just striking and sanitary.
right.
Well, we're taking out storm and sanitary easement, and.
And sanitary. So
Yeah.
It'll just say storm easement.
So we're taking out this whole thing, because it says storm easement later again. See what I'm saying? So it'll say, resolution adopting agreement with the city of Amherst, Ohio regarding storm easement at Shoe Belt. You're taking out storm and sanitary easement
Right.
and.
Right,
Right.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because it's in your place. Correct.
Any other questions or comments regarding those items?
But thanks for clarifying.
If not, roll call again for items 8B, D, E, F, G, and H.
Mrs. Gillis? Mr. Sappa? Mr. Kimikar? Mr. Engel?
Aye.
Mr. Gaspar?
Aye. Entertain a motion for item 8A.
So
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Engel?
abstain.
Mrs. Gillis? Mr. Kimikar? Mr. Sappa? Mr. Gaspar?
Aye. Motion for 8C.
So moved.
Is there a second? Mark seconded. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Gillis? Mr. Sappa? Mr. Kimikar? And Mr. Engel?
Aye.
Mr. Gaspar?
Aye. Okay. 8, aye.
So moved.
Is there a second?
So second.
Rex, okay. Any discussion? No discussion, roll call, please.
Mrs. Gillis? Mr. Engel? Mr. Sappa? Mr. Kimikar? Mr. Gaspar?
Abstain. I will make a point about that, even though I'm abstaining, I'm probably going to pay my own expense. District will not bear any expense on the trip for me, I'll pay my own. I want to be safe here. So, keep the lawyers happy. Okay, superintendent's report, Mr. Sayers.
Yes, thank you, Mr. McAvoy. A couple of items here. First of all, just a reminder, I think I may have mentioned last month, but I'm not 100% sure, so I thought I'd mention again, State of the Schools will be April the 4th, 6:30 here in the high school cafetorium. And we will, of course, we hope everybody attends that evening, but typically it's a relatively small crowd, so we will make arrangements to have a videotape and make that available, website and those kinds of things. So 6:30, April 4th, high school cafeteria. Just as I mentioned, very excited to be working with GPD. We had, as I mentioned, a wonderful meeting last Thursday afternoon, and we talked about the next steps in the process. And we don't have dates and all the details nailed down at this point, but the next step in the process will be what they call a visioning process, where we'll have a couple of days where we'll bring maybe 20 to 25 people together. It'll be a cross-section of staff members, administrators, parents, representatives from city. We can have a board member or two serve on that group as well. But kind of a nice cross-section of folks that will spend a couple of days going through what they call a visioning process. And that will probably happen either later this month or early April. And then also during the month of April, probably towards the second half of the month, we'll have some after-school listening sessions where, again, teaching staff, food service staff, custodial staff, technology, bus drivers will all have an opportunity to provide input, into what they would like to see incorporated into the new building. And so GPD, again, this is one of the things that I think stood out during the interview process is their ability to engage staff and community and obtain that buy-in into that design process. So as those dates and times become specific and firmed up, I will certainly pass those along, but the ball is now rolling. And with that in mind, again, just wanted to let the board know, and I know Teresa's very aware of this, and Ron is very aware of this, but our construction manager interviews will take place on March the 8th. So we should have here within a couple of weeks, of course, we've already got the architect on board, but here within a couple of weeks, we should have our construction manager selected as well. And again, that is a joint process for the elementary school between the school district and representatives from the Ohio School Facilities Commission. And it went very well, through the architect interviews, and the same thing is happening with the construction manager. Absolutely.
We met the short list of the construction managers, highly qualified. So now when they come back on March 8th, they're going to be giving us a formal presentation as to really who these guys really are, okay? And it's about a 4-hour process. It's a long process. We go into quite detailed. It took over half a day to pick these guys too. We had over a 4-hour meeting picking these guys. So there's a lot of time involved in making sure we do this project correctly. But no more meetings, geez.
I think that is very interesting, because I've never been through the process before. It's very interesting, and it's not easy.
It's been very interesting.
Yeah.
And one thing that I'll mention, going back to what Barb was talking about earlier about this bond rating thing, this is all tied together. Years ago, when we had bonds, the school issue, when we built the addition on the high school, we built the junior high, and back then, they didn't have to go through the bond rating process. They would buy an insurance policy that would guarantee them a specific bond rating, which you can't do anymore. So now you have to give us some sort of presentation to tell these bond raters who you guys are, because for every 0.25% we can save the district in a bond rating, it equates to $700,000 to $750,000 of savings over 25 years. So obviously, the trip we're going to make is well worth it, especially if we can, one, maintain where we are, which is a AA2. We want to get to a AA1. The likelihood of us getting to AAA is probably not that good. The AAA is like, I can't tell you it's unbelievable what you have to be in order to get that. But the bottom line is we have to maintain at least where we're at, and we're going to try and take it a notch more. So it's a 2-hour presentation we're going to be making between Steve, Bart, myself, and one of our attorneys, right? right? I think four of us are going.
And they will already receive, before we get there, our
The
official
official statement
statement,
ahead of time,
and they
yes.
will receive the forecast and any of the preliminary documents that they need ahead of time to prepare themselves for the questions they're going to ask us above and beyond our presentation.
It's my understanding through these bond rating people who do this, very young, extremely intelligent guys that sit there, and it may only be one person we're sitting in front of. And he goes and pleads our case to the bond guys, I guess, how it works.
Higher-ups.
Then it goes from there. So it's a real, very detailed, very spelled out specific process how it works. So we've got to have our best hats on that day when we're over there making this presentation to us. So
Well, and along those same lines, that was actually the last item in my report. Kind of piggyback what you're saying is that we're in the process of updating our 5-year forecast to make sure that we have the most current and up-to-date forecast when we make this presentation. Because as we know, with the passage of the bond issue and the subsequent consolidation of buildings, our forecast after those changes are factored in will look even better than what it looked when we did it in October. So that was actually the last thing I wanted to mention. We should have that updated and again, as current as we possibly can have it for your consideration at the March meeting, and then we will have that at our disposal as part of this bond rating process.
and this whole official statement and everything we're going to do, you've got to be on the money with this. You can't go there and give these guys this song and dance that isn't true, because believe me, it'll kill you in the end. And then they monitor that along the way. They'll ask for follow-up reporting down the road to see just how close
Well,
we were
and
in our projections. So we've
If
got to be very
report
careful.
if you state anything that is incorrect, there can be charges filed.
Right. So it's very detailed.
Yes.
I'm not going to jail.
You be
That completes my report.
Okay. Thanks, Steve. Any questions for Steve? If not, Mr. Molnar.
Yeah, I have some exciting news to share. I'm actually going to go off the agenda for a moment. Go to the webpage here. I've added a new section on the Educational Services webpage called SAT and Khan Academy Partnership. So a few months ago, the state of Ohio made a decision that they were going to offer a college preparedness readiness test to all juniors in the state of Ohio. So every school district had to select whether they were going to administer the ACT or the SAT. So at that time, the Educational Service Center decided to give presentations to all school districts in the area to help make the decision of what we wanted to select. Not many school districts were there. I think the rationale is because a lot of districts around here, most students take the ACT. Most schools kind of push the ACT. And I think because the state was giving a free test to juniors, a lot of districts kind of had the thinking that, well, to save our parents a few dollars, $40 to $90, since most of our students take the ACT, we will administer the ACT. But I attended with Bob Mercola, and we had presentations, and basically the ACT presentation was, most school districts do the ACT, most students take the ACT around here, so just stick with us. We've been doing the same thing since 1989. ACT came in and presented their presentation, and they showed SAT, they showed all of the changes they've made recently and all of the student supports that they have. So Bob and I came back and brought the information back to the other guidance counselors to Mike May. We actually brought in the presenter from Columbus back up to here meet us specifically, and we presented everything to the staff here and made a decision that we were going to select the ACT as our test. But beyond that, we knew that all of the benefits that they have for students, we wanted to offer our students here. In the past, Amherst has always basically supported students in taking those assessments, but we've never really provided those assessments to students. So whenever a student wanted to take a pre-ACT or a pre-SAT or the actual ACT or SAT, they just did it on their own. Parents paid for it. We helped guide them in scheduling and getting them prepared for it, but parents pretty much had to do it on their own. Well, I've discussed over the last couple months with Superintendent Sayers, and we've worked with College Board, and starting next year, Amherst is going to provide the suite of assessments from SAT to all of our freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. So as I I'm this presentation, which is on our website for parents. I'm going to share with you real quick. So what that means is, next year in the fall, all freshmen, we're going to be giving all freshmen the PSAT 9, all sophomores the PSAT 10, and all juniors the PSAT NMSQT, which stands for the National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test. So that way, all students in Amherst will have the opportunity and will take those assessments. That will open up many doors for them, including up to $180 million in scholarship opportunities. And of course, the things that come along with the National Merit Scholarship Award, there are many things that come along with that. That will all be for those students, paid for by the district, so parents have no cost. It will be done during a school day here in the fall, so we'll interrupt parents' schedules on a weekend like they normally do. And again, we will be doing that because, in our opinion, the other top school districts, a few top school districts in Northeast Ohio do similar things. And we have in the past couple of years, as you know, been pushing the envelope to do more things for our kids. And so we feel like this is a great move that we want to do to provide every student with the opportunity to prepare for college readiness. And again, this presentation has a lot of information that we present to parents of why we're selecting it. One of the ones I wanted to focus on was the College Board's partnership with Khan Academy. In the past, if you wanted to prepare for an SAT, there was thought of thick books you would purchase, or maybe a course would cost a lot of money. Well, one of the changes SAT made was to partner with Khan Academy. They created a free online SAT preparation program for all students that is individualized. If you take a pre-SAT, which now again we will be offering to all of our students, if you take a pre-SAT and plug it into Khan Academy, it will individualize a path for you at each student that will take you to where you want to be when you take SAT as a junior. So for example, if you take the pure SAT 9th or 10th grade and you get maybe a 1050, and you want to be at a 1250 by the time you get to your junior, it will take you on a path that will adjust your coursework and make you hit other levels to get you on that path. So by investing in that for our students in 9th and 10th grade, we can put them, as soon as we get the results back, we can plug those scores in and get them on that path to where they want to be when they take it for real as a junior to be prepared for college. Okay? So our staff, our guidance counselors will help them in the fall to get those results back to connect College Board and Khan Academy and implement that and get them started on that right away. Okay? The one exciting thing I like about this is that besides all the benefits for students, what we want to do to help them be college ready, is that I believe we're eliminating the barriers that have been there in the past for some students. Unintentionally, districts always have barriers that they put up for students, of maybe because of race, or because of their socioeconomic status, or their background. By providing this at no cost to parents, we're eliminating barriers that the top, most successful student with the best background and a high socioeconomic status would take these tests, and they would take the pre-SAT 9th grade, 10th grade, and so on. And some students maybe didn't have the opportunity because they weren't aware of that opportunity, or the cost was a barrier. We've removed those barriers for all students. So every student in Amherst will have the same opportunity, have the same engagement to make sure they're prepared for, if they want to go to college, they get to the best possible point to get the scores they need to make sure they get the best opportunities that they have, including scholarships and being a National Merit Scholar. So we're looking forward to that next year in the PAC. I've had some discussions also with other districts, one including Avon Lake, who is doing the same similar thing. And I hope that, we're looking at maybe some things we can set up for seniors, because obviously seniors will not be taking these assessments come the fall. So maybe when our freshmen, sophomores, and juniors take these assessments here, maybe we'll partner with Avon Lake or another school district, and our seniors may have an opportunity, we might have them attend some sort of academic seminar at LCCC, or bring in a speaker, so that way they're all attending something of that great importance on that day in the fall. So it's exciting. The parents we presented at parent night and conferences were very excited. They all understood the decision, why we're doing what we're doing. And I had many parents come up and say, "This is awesome, it's great. My kid's a junior, he's taking SAT in a few months. Can I get on Khan Academy now and start working now? We have a short amount of time." And so, we help them with the presenter to work on that setup. So I'm very excited about that. It's a great move, I think, for the district. And I thank Superintendent Sayers for his support along the way and making sure that he checked to make sure that we're all ready to go. So just want to give you that update. We're doing good things.
Question, actually two. So you can you, I don't know why you want to do it, but you can actually opt out if you didn't want to take it, wasn't going to college?
Right now, when if a student, I don't know why a student wouldn't want to take the test. Our goal is to have every student take it. So we know also the SAT, also College Board has, in the past you used to get like a math score and a reading score. They have, if we saw on slides, they have multiple scores, which gives us more information, will allow us to see where they are and see actually if they're AP ready. So again, students in ninth grade can take assessments and say, hey, you might not have been aware, but this results say you are there's like 10 courses that you have the ability to take an AP course where maybe they would not have known that in the past. So we intended to have everyone get information. Plus, ACT is doing something that the state does not do, which ACT is now giving all students information back on every question. So every question they take, they will know exactly what the answer was, maybe why they got it wrong, and in that Khan Academy, it'll share with them, here's maybe what you were thinking, and here's how, so it guides them on later. But our state test, we don't get that information back from our own state tests. So we think that, again, the SAT, there's a whole bunch of reasons why we made that decision to go with SAT and do this for our students.
So like the ACT, you can take it multiple times with the school offering it. Can you take it more than just the one time the school offers it?
Yes, if students wanted to take the ACT or the SAT another additional time, they're more than welcome to do that. There's no barriers. But until you are a
cost
junior,
though, right?
it would cost you, yeah. But until you are a junior and you're actually taking SAT, I don't know why if you're taking the pre-SAT here in 9th grade and 10th grade, and then in the fall or junior before the SAT, I don't know why you want to take another one. But certainly, I think we're doing everything we can to prepare students for what they want to do in the future.
Yeah, I have a question, not a question, I wanted to make a comment on that. I want to make sure that we are tracking the track that they're on to see how the students who have done with whatever improvement they need to do on the track that they've been given, that whoever is going to be assigned that responsibility, and I think you alluded to guidance counselors there, that we have a report back. So from the time that they take that in 9th grade until the time they finish, how did they improve on that by the services that we are able to offer them, so that we can see the growth or the development of those students along the way, because I think that's crucial for us to be aware of, so that we can say how well this program works and how well this program is well.
Yes. And we'll have that data, including, we hope to see in a few years very quickly, an increase on our average SAT score, and also ACT score, in addition to our National Merit Scholarship winners, from one a year to maybe a half dozen or a dozen. It'd be nice to see that relatively quickly.
And I also think, and I'm going to continue that I think that for those who maybe are not college wanting to go, that it provides us with the opportunity to guide those students in the direction that will make them have a career.
And to just have opportunities, but the path that you want, our job is to get you the path that you want to go. If you're going to the JVS or a trade school or the military, that's our goal, is to provide you with everything you need to do that. We're not pushing you anywhere that you don't really want to go. To have enough opportunities that you know that all the doors are open to you.
Yeah, that's a great point, Mr. Engel, because I think, I wanted to thank Mike for his work on this shooting. I mean, he's really dug into this and gathered a lot of information and talked to a lot of different folks. And to me, the beauty of this is not just the junior administration of the SAT. That's certainly a wonderful thing that the state's paying for that. But to me, the beauty of this is the program that Mike has put in place in terms of the opportunities that students will have as freshmen and sophomores, and the data that will give us to help prepare them for success beyond Steele High School, whatever that may be, whether it's
exactly what I
moving into a trade or college or whatever. So to me, that's what I really like about what's been developed here is yeah, it goes beyond that junior SAT test. It's all the things that lead up to that. So thank you, Mike, for your work with that.
Thank you, that's my report.
Any questions for Mike?
Yes, I have a
Rex?
Okay. Just a couple of follow-ups from the emails that you had sent out. You had sent out an email, I believe, on 2/2 about open enrollment.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to know, have we gotten any feedback from making it known that we will not be accepting any enrollment?
We've got next year a little feedback. Interesting, actually, the deadline for those that do have that are open enrollment now in our district.
Right.
The period for we sent them all their their forms to fill out, applications. Thank you. That was due. Interesting, we have a couple dozen that have not returned there, which is fascinating. We have a principals meeting this week where we'll take those open enrollment forms we've gotten back and again go over and start looking at numbers. So we'll start looking at this week, and I did put in the letter to parents that we would get back to every open enrollment student we have now. I think at the end of March, I think we put the deadline before spring break. We wanted to get back to them. So if there were certain reasons and numbers why some maybe couldn't return, that they had ample time to start preparing to make arrangements for next year for the school district that are living.
And you also sent us an email on 2/23 talking a little bit about devices, putting devices away and back. My question there, have we seen issue with devices not being returned, or, I mean, this is the first time since we implemented a lot of this device stuff that we've had any communication with possibly an issue.
Not as much as you would think from my email, but it was kind of like a nice reminder to staff. With the hundreds of devices we have in the district, I think we've only misplaced or lost or possibly stolen, maybe, but only I think maybe what's 3 devices. It's a small number, I know. Of course, it's a small number. It's a small number, and that was actually last year. So nothing has occurred this year. But as our tech staff have gone around, they have noticed things like I said in the email, where it's convenient to we have the locks on the carts. It's convenient to kind of leave the passcode on, to click and unclick pretty quickly. And it's just a reminder to staff again. Once you take and put those locks back on, roll the numbers so it's not so easily available to people who might want to try to do something. So yeah, so it's not really a problem, but we just want to give staff a reminder to always be vigilant and diligent during the duty.
And my last question,
Go ahead. Floor is yours.
would be the follow-up from the streaming server that we needed to get in place for Steele News Live.
Yes. So that was finally implemented, and I believe everything's going perfectly well. Wes?
Yeah, we've seen a great improvement in the quality of streaming currently, which has been a huge benefit. It's also reduced traffic outbound and back into the building because we're able to maintain the streaming here. We have a lot better control to kind of shape it and reduce bandwidth usage here. And we still have a couple features that if they have a complaint or whatever, I'm kind of going with them and sitting in with them during the morning news and troubleshooting their issues independently at this point. But it's certainly made improvements here, I think, and everyone's been real happy with the quality of it.
So we've been able to get Steele News Live out where we were unable to do that for a period of time.
Correct.
Correct? I have no further questions for Ms.
Thank
May.
you.
Anyone else? Thanks, Mike. Good report. Mr. Engel. JBS.
JBS, I really don't have a whole lot to report. We're moving right along. You know it's competition time. I think that if you're following the JBS on Facebook, you would see some of the competitions are in there. As we go forward, at the end of the competition, I'll make sure that you all have a list of the Amherst students that have participated or who have qualified to move on to state competitions, and then on to national competitions and regional and state competitions and national competitions, so you go through that process. I don't really have anything else to report from the JBS at this point in time, unless you have some questions.
Anyone? Thanks, Rex. Personnel recommendations, Steve?
Wait, I have some other reports that I'd like to talk about.
Go figures.
As your representative to the Amherst Schools Endowment Foundation, I would like to give you a report on that because I met with them on 2/6. It was actually a very good meeting, as you recall. This board had some discussion about possibly asking the foundation if they would be interested in coming up with some dollars to change out or redo the library at the junior high. They are very interested in that, and so they would like to have a dollar amount attached to that sooner than later, because that question said, how much money are we looking at? Is it another $250,000 or $40,000 or whatever that number was that I asked for last year? And I said I didn't think it would be that much because we're in a much newer facility, and I don't think we would have, one, the space is not as large. So they are expecting to have that, and they would like to have that possibly at their next board meeting, which is not, the next board meeting will be to review applications, so it really won't be then, so it'll probably be late spring, early summer. But if we can have a dollar amount attached to that so they can give some consideration to that, because they had a little bit of discussion about just continuing on the path they're on from here, knowing that they have 4 years, I was allocating more of that going forward, so that that's a possibility. So I just wanted you to be brought up to speed on that. The other question that they asked me to bring back to the entire board was, when we demolish the 3 buildings that we're going to demolish, Powers, Harris, and Shue, is there a way possibly that when the committee is working with them, with the architects and destroying people, that is there a way that we could get some bricks
Yeah, we
from
talked about
each
that.
of those buildings that you could provide to the foundation that they could use as a
Oh, that's
fundraising,
gonna cost them some money.
as a fundraising opportunity, just from that perspective, because Mr. Springer is the one who said, you know, he was one of the first students at Harris, so of course that he got a lot of pressure that he needed to buy some bricks since he was the first class to attend. So I think that there's some play there that could be used as a fundraising opportunity for the foundation. As well as when the new building is built, will there be the opportunity for the foundation to sell pavers, possibly similar to what had transpired at the junior high for people from that building. So they would like this board to give consideration to those 2 areas, possibly as fundraising opportunities for the foundation.
And so am I. This actually was part of the interview process, some of the questions, the conversation we had with the architects. Actually, in my meeting last Thursday, I reiterated that with Mark and his team that we would like to, in addition to raising funds, try to figure out a way that we can kind of incorporate the history and tradition of our older buildings into the new buildings, and I guess there's different ways to do that. And then in addition, actually, Vanessa and I actually had a conversation earlier today, kicking around different ideas and different things the school districts have done. So that is definitely on everyone's radar.
Well, the foundation would like to be the one who spearheads that for fundraising efforts for the foundation, given the circumstances that they have helped you with.
Absolutely.
Once Rodwell gets involved in this community thing, I think the foundation ought to probably meet with him. They were very in touch with that idea.
And there's a new person joining the foundation. I don't think it has been voted on yet, but as you know, what's her name? Kristen has stepped down.
Oh,
She has not want to be renewed for a new term, so they're doing some research on that. And I think that there's a positive for that position that it hasn't been voted on.
Yeah, actually, she's on the CB's agenda.
Was it on there? Okay. I didn't know whether it hit the agenda or not, as I knew that it was a possibility that it may, so, okay? I didn't know whether Ryan had accomplished that. There will be another fundraiser coming up. We would certainly encourage this board to support those fundraisers. I think it's going to be at Chipotle, but I don't know the exact date that that's going to happen. I know that I think Ryan is working on that, so hopefully he will make all of you aware of that as well, since he is the representative. Okay? That's all I have to report from other standing committee.
Sure. Any questions for Rex, anyone? Thank you, Rex. Personnel recommendations, Steve?
Yes, thank you. And I know the board has had an opportunity to review the agenda ahead of time, and these items here, these personnel items are fairly straightforward and self-explanatory. At this time, we'd like to recommend approval of items 11A through 11, oh,
We have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Rex, any discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Gillis. Mr. Engel.
Aye.
Mr. Sappa. Mr. Kamikar. Mr. Yakovlin.
Aye. Business recommendation, Steve?
or educational.
Educational 12.
There we go. Educational recommendations.
Thank you, Mr. Yakovlin. Just several items here, just a quick update. Item E is a revised 2017-18 school calendar. Nothing has changed with the calendar itself. The only changes involve changes in parent-teacher conference times as well as open house, dates and times due to the consolidation from 5 to 4 villages. So we had to go back and tweak a couple of things, but I wanted you to know that the calendar itself remains as is. And then item F is the item that you just referenced, Mr. Engel, with Jim Park as that new trustee. So we'd like to recommend approval of items 12A through 12F.
Is there a second? Mark, discussion? Mr. Parks, a good addition, by the way.
Yes.
That's what I really like that guy. Okay. No questions, we'll do roll call.
Mrs. Gillis. Mr. Sappa.
Aye.
Mr. Engel.
Aye.
Mr. Kamikar. Mr. Yakovlin.
Aye. Business, Steve?
Yes, again, 5 or 6 items here. Just wanted to highlight a couple of things. First of all, on 13A, a recommendation to authorize Barb and myself to amend the lease that we currently have with Great Lakes Church from the current $1,500 per month to $800. That would take effect April 1st. And as the board is aware, they have purchased another building, is in the process of moving to another location. In fact, I believe the loan is closed and everything is official, I believe. I know in talking with Pastor Carson, he had indicated that their goal is to be completely moved out by the end of May. So they're gradually scaling back really the time that they're using the building for services and those kinds of things. So we thought they've been excellent tenants. They paid all of their rent on time. We thought this was a nice adjustment to make. Most likely it'll only be for 2 months. But again, wanted to provide that little bit of background. And then item F, this is a fairly significant recommendation. And we had a meeting on Friday with our architect, Mr. Gillum, our buildings and grounds supervisor. Mrs. Gillis was there as representative from Buildings and Grounds. Mr. Yakovlin was unable to be there due to another commitment.
Mark filled in for
Mark filled in, so Mark and Teresa, please feel free to jump in as needed here. But essentially what this recommendation involves, and this is a part of the bond issue that was passed in November, is that we will be recommending that we accept a bid from Bay Mechanical to do the HVAC upgrades at Nord Middle School for this upcoming summer. And the good news is that bid came in, I think it was about $240,000 or $250,000 below our estimate. So that is great news. The downside is that for the HVAC project here at Steele, we only received 1 bid. And that 1 bid that we did receive was $600,000 over estimates. So the conversation that we had Friday, we did not feel comfortable in recommending that bid be approved. The recommendation involves not only rejecting that bid for Steele, but to authorize us to go back out for bid either later this summer or early fall, so that we can get it. We knew the time frame would be kind of, we would be kind of close here with the bond issue passing in November and trying to get everything ready for this summer. We're able to do it at Nord, but with the high school, again, we only had the one bid. So by going back out to bid later this summer or fall, it should create a more competitive bidding market and bring us in bids at or below our estimates like we have with Nord. So that's kind of a summary of our recommendation here. The good news is Nord will get done this summer and it'll get done under budget. And the downside is that we're going to have to wait a year to do the HVAC upgrades here at Steele High School. I did have a meeting with our high school staff after school here earlier today, explaining the scenario in terms of what happened and why we're recommending what we are. And they were very understanding and disappointed that it won't happen this summer, but obviously very understanding of we're trying to make the best of the situation. So with that background, would like to recommend approval of items 13A through 13F.
We have a motion, is there a second? Mark, discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Gillis, Mr. Sappa, Mr. Engel, Mr. Kamikar, Mr. Yakubowski.
Aye. Entertain a motion to go to executive session, to discuss employment and compensation of public employees with no action to be taken.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Engel,
Aye.
Mrs. Gillis, Mr. Kamikar, Mr. Sappa, Mr. Yakubowski.
Aye,
Time in 5:30.
got it.